Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Whiskey Sour Libations and Conversations with your girl Dom. We are back with a very special episode. Who is no stranger to our show. You've seen him on heard him on WatchMojo. He is an actor, voice actor. He a rapper, but most of all, he is your favorite Blerd.
Yes,
Welcome
sir.
back to the show, Young Deuces.
Hey, man, thanks for having me. I had a great time last time, so I was glad you asked me back.
I'm so happy to see you, but I would say I was even more happy to meet you in real life.
Yeah,
We met in real life, guys. I'm not gonna say your real name,
it's okay. It's
but
out
we
there. You can
met.
say it.
Listen, it's so crazy, guys, because I met Young Deuces at DreamCon this year, and I want to talk a little bit about DreamCon.
Yeah,
But it's so funny because so much was happening. I was down there working with Pat and Persephone, helping them stream live and all of this stuff. So it was just such a surreal moment. And I think I absorbed so much and was in the moment. And it was a moment where I told her, I was like, I just love y'all. I'm so proud of y'all. Like I was like a proud mama bear.
yeah.
But you rolled up on me and I was like, yo. And then I realized I was like, my bad.
It's okay because like I said, once I started doing more voice acting and acting, my real name is out there. So
Yeah,
for those who don't
exactly.
know, my real name is Rudy, and
And I yelled it very
so
loud.
what's funny because in the Blerd community, everybody knows me. So I hear variations of Young Deuces, and everything like that. So it was just shocking to hear. I didn't expect to hear somebody yell Rudy in all the way in Texas. So I was like, it threw me for the biggest loop. I was like, wait, what?
Yo, because I was so excited. And because I feel like, the cool thing about social media is that it connects you, with so many people, globally just through the screen. And
Yeah,
so it feels like I've known you like for years, but
yeah.
I know you, but I don't, I've never met you. So that like happens. And so people will ask me, do I know certain people? And I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, that's my people. And then I was like, can I say that? Because we've never physically met in real life and sat down and had a conversation. And so to see you roll up on us and then you was like, what's up? And I was like, and you was like, really, government? I'm like, absolutely. But I'm gonna be honest. I have friends that have nicknames, and
Hmm.
I always feel like I'm special, and I get to call you a government name. So I just do that just to do that.
And you do. Like I said,
So,
that's
and you lucky I didn't say Rudy Strong because normally what I say is first and last name.
that
Like,
means me.
and it's been a thing my entire life. I will say somebody's name, but I'll also say their last name. So don't ask me why. I
So
just
you
do.
know what's funny because like you bring up a great point because I often wonder, like, okay, once you get to a point of like when you meet people online and you chop it up with them, but then also you have those moments like, what I'm saying, me and you, where we was like sharing like our woes in the industry, talking about, helping each other game plan. And I'm like, at some point when that is definitely crossed over from, okay, we not just online, like now we homies because we help
Yeah.
each other out. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm like, at what point? Because you don't want to impose, but you're like, hey
Yes.
man, just because we grown don't mean that we can't make new friends. So
That's
it's like,
true. That is, it's so funny that you bring that up because we talk about different topics on the show, as you know, but we talk about there's this big conversation surrounding the male loneliness epidemic.
yeah,
And so I'm in a group chat with one of my friends. What's up, Clint? And he put in the chat, he met someone in the industry and they had a really great conversation at this event, this movie premiere. And he said, I think he's so cool. How do I ask him to be my friend? And all the women in the chat are just like, ask him to be your friend, like get his number,
hmm,
exchange socials, do like there's so many things you can do. And he was so happy. He was like, digits secured.
yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, just do that.
Yeah. So
So
yeah, it's funny because I assume you're talking about Clint Coley, right?
yes, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
because we got a group chat as well because we game with each other's me,
Wait,
Clint
I'm
Coley.
like, wait, I was like, which group chat are you in?
No, no, no. So I won't. We in a couple because we got
Okay.
one. We got one on Instagram. It's full of like a whole
Okay.
bunch of blurs and nerds. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Me, Clint, Will Ferrell, CT, Fantastic Frankie. I think
The
Brett
CT was fun because I know
Brody.
that
Yeah.
I know that from Tangerine. Shout out to y'all, but Tangerine was like, CT don't like stuff like that, and I'm like, what? So
So
he
the
didn't
funny
listen.
thing
I
is,
put the
he started the group.
listen.
CT started the group, but
Now
like,
that's hilarious.
but it's funny because so we got an ongoing series that Clint posts on his TikTok and on his Instagram.
Okay.
It's called Gaming with Your Friends, or what guys talk about while we gaming. And
Okay.
it's funny because you see the comments, and everybody in the comments are saying the same thing, like, "Yo, this is really male therapy." Because like we gaming, but we just talking about random things, and it's fun. And so like when I be talking about Clint, or Lou G, Will Ferrell, Brandon Brody, like we be all in that group chat. So I just be like, yeah, these are my friends because listen, we done
Yeah.
shared so much information with whether we recording gaming or not recording gaming. We'll be
Yeah.
on that game 2-3 hours a night, 3-4 times a week. So it's like at
Oh
some
yeah. That
point,
is.
y'all
Yeah.
like we homies now. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
And
And
so
y'all really need that community.
yeah,
Like as I talk to men more and more, I have an idea about something, and but it's so funny because I think I think what our generation is doing is figuring out, at least for the as far as men, because I think
mhm,
women, it's something that we've kind of always had,
yeah,
but understanding how important brotherhood is. And so I think that's really dope that you guys have that
yeah.
because y'all need it. This
Now
should be hard for y'all too. I'll
it
give
do,
y'all that. But though y'all do a lot of stuff to evoke the drama, I'm gonna say that things happen to y'all, and y'all need to be able to unpack that too.
yeah,
So
yeah. We got to hold ourselves accountable, and for the most part, we do. Like I said, because like we'll go in there in our group chat, we'll have conversation and everything like that. We'll crack jokes, we'll talk about it, but then there'll be moments where we're like, "Hey, man, you was on some bullshit though, bro." Like so we'll have
that's
those moments
good.
and everything like that. I would say the one thing for me, and I think this is more just a personal thing for me, is that I get so much FOMO because I'm in these group chats with everybody who live around each other, and I'm all the way out here in Milwaukee. So they be like, "Oh yeah, we about to go
Um,
watch this movie together. Hey man, we about to go hit Top Golf," and they posting pictures in the group chat, and it's just me just in
you be
Milwaukee,
like,
just like, yeah,
you got to, what, figure out a week where a long weekend, you come out here
mm-hmm.
and make a itinerary, make it an event, and
Oh, I'm
make,
tapping up. I'm pulling up on everybody. Let's see. I already said it. I said, man, I'm gonna get out there. I'm about to spend like a week out there because I'm like, there's a lot of people that I
yeah,
want to just, what I'm saying, just chop it up with in person and be like, yo, man, finally nice to meet you. Because there's a lot of people that we still like, we stay heavily connected online.
yeah,
And for me, with my come up since the pandemic, it was just like it's crazy because I was a fan of a lot of y'all, watching a lot of y'all on Zooming with the homies on All Def, just things that you guys in that whole collective, that whole circle that you guys got, that got built. And so being accepted into that circle with many pockets and everything, just in general, just being able to, if I got anything that I need to hit to hear up for, anything I
hmm
need to hit, what I'm saying, Clint up for, or I
hmm
I can call Kev. I can, like, there's a lot of people that I'm like, no, I
It's the
feel.
fact that I don't even call Kev. I can't call Kev, so you more connected than me.
Well, here's the thing. I don't call Kev only because I'm like, I
You
don't
could
want to be.
call. You could though.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
You
if
could,
you really you needed
but it's
to,
just,
Kev. Yeah,
yeah. And so I think I was like, for me, I always feel fortunate and blessed because I'm like, I call myself like the fan, like the fan that made it, because I was the one in those comments. And
yeah,
then now I'm sharing screen with you guys, and I just feel like you guys never really like made me feel unwanted, made me feel belittled or anything like that. And I was like, man, that's dope, because they always talk about how this industry is.
hmm
And you know I I don't have a mentor in this game, or I don't have
right.
an OG like they talk about in comedy. So it's like being able to pull from certain creators and everything like that, and be like, all right, I'm dealing with this now. Who can, and I can chop it up with people. Like I don't never take that for granted at all. So I think it's really dope.
Yeah, I have such a good relationship. Like, and it's interesting, like how I even met everybody, because like
Mhm.
and how we all became really good friends. Like, and it was during the pandemic, and you talk about making new friends. Like, I didn't know anybody before the pandemic. I
Mhm.
made them all. And then Hippie is one of my really good girlfriends. Like, I was telling her my dilemma about, like, I was I'll tell you in a second, but she immediately sprung into action. Okay, let me look at it. Okay, you need to do this, you need to do that, and then we're gonna get you there, because if you have it, like, you have it,
Mhm.
but you just need X, Y, and Z, and then we'll, you know, push it and do, so that's, people don't understand community. But I think it's this space of, which is a reoccurring theme that we've been talking about recently. We come from that space of, like you said, you not having a mentor in the game or whatever, where it's like boomer, post boomer, they kind of gate kept a little bit. And
Yeah.
so they would cherry pick people, and
Mhm.
then like kind of usher those people in where it, and then like it repeated itself. But
Right.
now you kind of see, have this opening where people understand, as Issa said, networking across. There's nothing wrong with networking up, but
Mhm.
networking across, because the people around you are just as insightful and just as helpful and can help
Mhm.
elevate you and your brand and what you have going on, and vice versa, being able to pour back into each other.
Yeah, we got, listen here, we got a community within our community, and
Yeah,
like I call it a community because we literally have every resource that we need. You need a writer, there's somebody that we can pull from that you can. Yeah, you need somebody.
absolutely.
Yeah, you need somebody as a showrunner. There's somebody that you can pull from. You need somebody helping you out with setting up streams, getting brand deals. Like, we have so many people within our community that is really dope. That, you know what I'm saying, that, when you see everybody, right? That's why I try to make sure I still tap in with everybody, like, on their content as just
Yeah,
watch, because I'm like,
yeah,
one, I like to see everybody's growth, and I'm truly one of those people that when I see somebody do something dope, I want to just like celebrate it. I want to be there, like, hell yeah, let's go. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah,
like,
absolutely.
I really do, like, you know what I'm saying, just like what's being built here, behind the scenes, the camaraderie, the creativeness, and everything like that. I just think it's really dope.
Yes, it really is, and it's so inspirational, because like running into everyone at DreamCon,
Hmm.
and for people that's listening and watching, if you don't know what DreamCon is, it's like Comic Con but for the Negroes.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
It's very. First of all, let me tell you this: that weekend in Houston, and I live in LA, and being from St.
Hmm.
Louis, where I'm used to seeing black people every day.
Yeah.
That is the most, that is, I ain't seen that many black people in 15 years in one space. When I tell you my life was given, and I was
Yeah.
just like, oh my God, black person, black person, black
Yeah.
person.
And this is our fifth year, no, fourth year going to DreamCon. Each year
Okay.
we did something each year. So being able to see their growth, because when we first, because as a Blerd, we've been going to conventions, and anime conventions, comic book conventions throughout this whole Geek Set run. And it's a lot of blended cultures and everything like that. So we didn't go to DreamCon because, like I said, we've been doing Geek Set for 8 years. So we didn't
Yeah.
go to DreamCon until after our fourth year, and that was our first time seeing full black people, right? And that's
Hmm.
kind of what inspired our documentary that we're working on and everything, because we was like, yo, this is like seeing us, how much we love this culture, but now we seeing so many people that look like us, sound like us, but then
Yeah.
they're also the way that we approach things. Like, the cosplays wasn't just like, you'll see some very crazy cosplays, but then you'll see like somebody who do like their version of the cosplay, where it'd be like a swagged out version, or what I'm saying, it'd be like, what I'm saying, a dripped out version or whatever, right? So it's like, that was just so dope to us, and we was like, yo, we need to protect this, we need to. So I always love when people, who are like just getting introduced to the culture, comes and sees, because they're like, whoa, what is this? Like, what I'm saying, like, it got,
I,
like, it takes them by a storm, because it's like, yo, this is kind of dope. Like, I didn't even think this was a thing, so like, yeah.
yeah, I definitely, I knew black people were in a cosplay, but
Hmm.
then really seeing it and people really, really immersed
Yeah.
into it, it was just a really, like different experience. And I mean, I just, my mouth was on the floor. I was gagged the whole time. And like I said, having friends. having friends participate, being on panels and everything. I think that was really cool. Cleo did one with Call of Duty and they gave us all this free merchandise. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
well, I don't have no in my bag. I packed for the weekend. I literally packed for the weekend. So I got like a beanie and like a t-shirt. I'm like, I'm not taking all of that stuff back. And then, like the YouTube studio, getting merchandise from there and just
Mm-hmm.
like Roxy, Ken Edwin and them, like, doing everything, which I got a new skit out with Kid Edwin that came out last week, y'all.
Hey, all right.
Like another one. We shot it ages ago. He just put it out. He's such an Aquarius. But like Persephone, Big Jai, all of them having a
Mm-hmm.
panel for the lesbian homies. So it was just really, really dope to see everybody. I was kind of mad that like, that they pull the YouTube panel, like that was supposed to be really like all deaf people, because I really wanted to see like what Patrick, had to say.
Yeah.
I can just call. But it's different seeing somebody really in that element because and just seeing how many people, like so many people are fans of y'all and y'all getting stopped taking
Yeah.
photos and then people stopping me like, can we take it? I was like, I think you think I'm somebody else.
No,
And
no,
then
we know who you are.
no, 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 no. One person thought I was somebody. They thought I was Daphne. And
Oh.
I was like, because
Well,
somebody said they love my stand-up, and I was like, wait. And I was like,
okay, yeah, that one was a mistake. But remember, you are integrated into the all deaf adjacent family and everything, like just like me. Because the fact
yeah.
I remember last year at DreamCon, I'm coming down the escalator and there's this group of dudes, and this is the first time for me that I've ever been stopped for like, hey, it's young Deuces, right? And I'm coming down, group of dudes coming, they're like, oh, Deuces, and I'm like, yo, what up? So I'm thinking, I'm like, all right, like they probably know me before and everything. They're like, yeah, man, you was on Zooming with the homies with here, and I was like, oh shit. I was like, I got recognized for Zooming with the homies out of all
Yeah.
things. I was like, I didn't expect that. So you got to understand the certain, like, the big heads in all the Tahir, Kev, Pat, like
Hmm.
Meg, CP. Like if you are in anything with any of them, you there's people that know you because they generate so many views and so much fandom that even just being around them, you gonna get. So like, don't short side yourself because you definitely.
Well, I received that. I'm going to receive that
Yeah.
and not deflect and be like, weird, like I normally am. I'm going to
Yeah.
receive that. Thank you. But it was funny just because I was like, wait a second. And even as I was streaming for them, people in the comments, is that Dom? And then I turned it around. I was like, hello. So confused. Like, okay. Because, like guys, I do help them run their social media
Mm-hmm.
and certain things behind the scenes. So I do help them out with that. So, but I just wasn't privy or, in the wherewithal. And it just honestly, it worked out that my mom needed me to go to Houston to handle some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was the same weekend. And so I hit them up and was like, hey, y'all know your girl laid off. Can I come work this weekend? So it really, really worked out. So I was just so excited. And it was just so many people just like loving on each other and
Mm-hmm.
just being like, you know, there's always the things that get publicized on social media where it's negative about us, our people, our
Yeah.
culture. And we have stuff like this, which I'm all for gatekeeping. And because certain things need to be gate kept. Like,
Yeah.
and you saw pockets, sprinkles of white people in there, but sometimes we need stuff just for us where we can go, where we can be safe,
Yeah.
where we can take a deep breath and relax and just breathe.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think we realize as Black people, we on edge a lot because we are in, I gotta be alert. I gotta be on
Mm-hmm.
high alert. And when you're in a space where it's not like that, it's a really dope experience. So I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I had such a good time, and I just hate that I didn't get to see Meg. I did experience.
Oh, we was there. Matter of
I'm
fact,
so
you know what? And this is the funniest thing ever. So the news that came from DreamCon is that Meg is doing her animation, her
correct.
anime with Carl Jones.
Yes.
I was the one that broke the news. So the footage that started it was my footage, and in Shade Room they had originally credited Getty Images, and how the hell Getty Images get the credit for it? So
Right. I'm like, how do you get involved?
all my people started, saying, hitting them up in the Shade Room, reached out to me, and then they gave me the credit for it. But yeah, we was right there, and the reason why I posted it so fast and got it up so fast is because so I work a lot with Carl Jones, actually. You know what I'm saying? Like we do
Okay, well, shout out to you because you dope. And I have an idea, and we can
yeah,
take it to him.
yep, yep. And
Listen, listen, because even if it's just a short movie, we need the Boondocks for a
yeah.
moment.
So like the earlier that week, Carl Jones had a panel for his Martian Blueberry Animation Studio,
Okay.
and I was moderating the panel. So you know what I'm
Yes.
saying, I was him, his wife Love Jones, and everything like that. So we chop it up. We got a group chat and everything. And so anytime anybody do anything about the Boondocks or anything like that, I sent it to him and them just to show them some love and everything like that, right? So I knew that they wasn't able to make the Meg thing, but when she announced it, I said, "Oh shit, this is dope," because she went on that whole part about shout out to Carl Jones and everything like that. So I sent it to them. Then I said, "Let me get this up before anybody else get it up." I posted with them and everything like that. And then by the time we get out, it's everywhere. And I was like, "Oh shit, this thing is done grew some legs." You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And so when that happened, like I said, I was like, "Oh shit, that's really dope." And then like even with in general with the Boondocks, there's a whole lot that I got connected with them because Cedric Yarbrough, I interviewed him probably like 3 years ago, and
Mm-hmm.
he was the definitive person that said the Boondocks is not coming back. That was on my podcast. So when I put that clip out, of course, that was that was the first time I went viral with my content. I was on MTV. Okay, I was like on all these websites, and they were talking about it. So I was like, man, every time the Boondocks get brought up, is like I'm like I there's way that I can, what I'm saying, help break the news, because that's kind of what I wanted to be in regards to kind of like with the content with Geek Set. We call ourselves the reporters of the culture because I want us to, like, the way I look at it at Blerd Culture, and like kind of what you were saying about we need to gatekeep it, is that it's so new still. This is still a new culture of these black nerds and all these spaces. And it's growing so fast that I fear that there's going to be a colonizer or somebody who's not of the culture who tries to capitalize off of
Yep.
it in the wrong way.
Always.
So I was
Always.
like, let us build it with respect, because my platform, anytime anything that I do, it's all about celebration, giving people their flowers while they're here, respect and everything. And so I was like, what we don't need is that we don't need somebody to come to be the voice of the culture, and they're one of the people that fish for negativity to go viral. I want to trip somebody up, or I want to do that. I was like, we need to make sure that we have the respected version, like the Sway, the Angie Martinez, how they are in hip hop. We
Yeah.
need that person for Blerd
Absolutely.
Culture. And I'm like, I'm a fan of a lot of this stuff. I'm on the ground. I'm here. So I'm like, as I grow and do what I do, I also want to make sure that I'm a good voice of this culture, celebrating the people, celebrating our heroes, celebrating our new people. And so I'm making a point to try to be like, let me just highlight a lot of the things that are going on, the artists, And so when I do my interviews, I do pick the people that I'm like, okay, we got to give them their flowers. But if I see somebody new, like somebody, let's say somebody, I use an example. My guy, Marco Bernard, during the pandemic, I don't know if you remember. Do you remember when there was like these versions of the Lion King? They was like swagged out. They had
Mhm.
Mufasa in the suit. People was going crazy. Women was thirsting over them. Like it was a good time, right? I was
Yeah.
like, yo, let me interview, bro. You know what I'm saying? Things like
Yeah.
that. So I was like, I got an interview with them, and we talked about it. He talked about this whole idea with Pride Lands and everything. And I was just like, to me, that is what's needed. You need that platform that not only celebrates the Phil Lamars and the Deborah Wilsons and the Kadeem Hardisons in our culture, but also
Yeah.
introduce you to the new people that are also making waves, that they may have had that one viral moment, but in the future, we've seen it. We've seen it where somebody
Right.
was, okay, you got 30 followers and you making some dope content. 5 years later on, now you running Marvel. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, I want
Right.
to be able to just make sure I can highlight people at every step of the way. And I want people to trust me and my platform, where people is like, you know what? All right, I got this thing. I may be bigger than life now, but I remember Deuces showed me some love. And so if I want to break this, let me go to his platform, because I know that it's all love there. And I think that, what I'm
Absolutely.
saying, built a solid name for ourselves of doing that. But it is, like I said, embedded in just protecting the culture and protecting, like I said, that experience that you had, protecting that to make sure that more people can have that experience.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things that prevents us from doing that is um and I'm guessing it's kind of like this old school mentality, and I don't want to put it back on slavery. I'm not
Right.
gonna go that far back. I mean, you reach it. But like black people are always having to like be so inclusive
Mm-hmm.
where it's not reciprocated to us. And so we don't know where to draw that line in the
Yeah.
sense it's like, okay, it's cool that you
Mm-hmm.
acknowledge us. It's cool that you gave us a shout out. It's cool that you did this. Those are things that you were supposed to do. That does not mean, I mean, shout out to sinners that we gotta welcome you into the
Yeah.
door because you see, it's I mean, literally that scene alone teaches you, it's such a
It
teachable
does.
moment for us.
It does.
Which shout out to you, cousin Omar. But um it is because we be so quick and then it'd be like somebody be like, hey man, hold on. Let's
Yeah.
take a step back and analyze this situation because this can go really good or really bad. And nine out
Yeah.
of 10 times it's going really bad. It
Right.
always be something.
But you know what it is, and I we had this conversation like on our podcast a while ago. But black people are inherently loving, right,
Yeah.
and accepting, right? Because
Yep.
you listen, like you'll see a clip like this on the online go viral all the time. It'll be some other race getting bullied, and then it'll be either the most randomest group of black people that come and save the person getting bullied and step up, and now that person's with them, right? It'll be a black, you know what I'm saying? It'll be a black group of kids, or you know what I'm saying? And it's just like it's because one, we dealt with oppression. We know where our history and things came from. So it's like, yeah, that shit sucked. You know what I'm saying? For us, we don't want to see that happen to nobody else. So after a while, it's gonna be like, hey man, you doing too much. Now we got to step in because now my, you know what I'm saying, my inherent trauma is coming up, and now and again also this is just a fucked up situation, right? And so even you got to think about it. You never hear the white version of invited to the cookout. That's something that black people created because and again, we got to stop it. I know where you're going. We do got to stop inviting people to the cookout. We got to stop inviting people to the cookout. But that's what I'm saying. It's like, we are inherently just accepting of other people where it's not always reciprocated to in the same way for us.
And honestly it's never really reciprocated to us, and which is why I am always very baffled when like you said the cookout invite happens and I'm like, hey, the person just did what they were supposed to do. That doesn't mean that they get a plate of ribs, beans, and like
Mm-hmm.
collard greens. Like it doesn't make sense. So I'm like, hello, just stop it, pump your
Yeah.
brakes. But it's like you said, but then I think that we likely believe that that will change the trajectory going forward, and then though people will be more open to getting to know us and be understanding of us and our strides, like everything that we've gone through,
Mm-hmm.
um when it doesn't do anything and it's just like, man, you could have gave Smokey another plate because Susan is not going to go and tell her friends
Yeah.
about her experience. She's like, oh, she'll tell them that her food was seasoned and that the food was good, but that'll be it.
Right.
She's not really going to say, I really fellowship with them. I really took a moment and it made me take a step back and really even look at how I'm interacting with, in this world with people that don't look like me, that
Yeah.
don't have the life experiences that I have and will likely never have any access or privilege like I have.
Mm-hmm.
And once they get the access, it's still going to be so many hurdles and obstacles that they have to overcome.
Right.
That's all. And that's all we want y'all to do. That's all we want y'all to understand is it is not the same for us. And it's just, this whole experience as we have been now 6, 7 months into the presidency. And then you have people saying, oh, I wish I didn't vote this way, or I just didn't understand. I said, when people tell you who they are, believe them.
Believe it.
And we tell y'all that all the time. And now, there was this whole conversation around ICE and black people and what we should be doing. And it's like, we told y'all. We told y'all. And so now you want us to be on the front lines. And which a lot of this stuff will trickle down and impact us because
Yes. Yep.
that's just the way the cookie crumbles and we know it's coming. Um, but I also see the flip side of that where people are like, I'm kind of backing up from this.
Well, that's because you got to think. Remember the fight. It got to a point where we was literally pleading with America, like, do not do this again. We already did 4 years of it, and we saw how bad it was. Y'all, and seeing the trajectory of what was like where we're at now and how it led up to it, like during that campaign trail, yeah, at some point we was just like, look, it seems like y'all just don't want a black woman. And it's crazy because you have one person, and I always said this. I said we got to get celebrity out of politics. I was like, because people start throwing in, well, The Rock, Oprah. I'm like, listen, I love these people, but no, I like a politician who does politics. Now, granted, both sides, Democratic or Republican, yes, they're both do fucked up shit. There's things that need to be fixed, but I respect it, even though I always inherently voted Democratic. When the Republicans was in it, I may have disagreed with them. I may have disagreed with what Bush was doing, and I may have disagreed how he handled things and everything like that. But at least he did due process. Where I'm like, look, it's just more of a matter of differences. Then you get this guy, Trump, who doesn't know anything about politics, who doesn't even listen to his consultants. He doesn't listen to anybody on his team. He does whatever he wants, and he wipes his ass with the Constitution. And it's like, okay, like this is not even a respectable person to represent your party. I was like, there's other Republicans that y'all can go with. It's not that. And again, we was pleading not on just the Democratic versus Republican. We just say, not him. This guy is a horrible human being and not even a good politician. You know what I'm saying? And I get it. I get that. Like I said, to me, the sentiment of we wanted something new, something different. I'm all for that. Find the person that is actually in politics that does that. You know what I'm saying? Because even in the Democrat, even with in the Democratic Party, I always said, I was like, look, we need to get younger. Like I said, we like one, we're dealing with people who are making changes in this country that may not even live to see what happens with the changes that they made. So I'm like, we need to get younger for one on both parties, and then I was like that. So I'm like, yeah, and we do need to change how politics is done, but that's not the way. That was always my main. I was like, that is not the way, and so it felt like we was pleading. And I often say this about racism. I said, I don't ever want an ally that I have to drag along with me. No, your allyship should be your journey. You should be loud. So you should be present. You should want to listen. Like I know I'm an ally to the LGBTQ plus community, and I personally, because my cousin El Halo does a lot of community activist work in Milwaukee for the LGBTQ plus community. So I would go to the Pride Parade. I would offer myself to do performances at the Pride Parade. I would go listen to the things at their seminars. I would have conversations with people in that community because I said I wanted to be an ally. Nobody had to drag me to it. Nobody had to pull me to it. I wanted to do it. I started listening to more Black women when, what I'm saying, just kind of show my allyship. It's like, I don't always have a rebuttal when people are telling their woes of what they're going to. So like, I don't ever get offended when women be like niggas ain't shit, because I'm like, okay, I know that they not talking about me, but obviously they're dealing with something. So I don't need to be like, but not all niggas. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't gotta be that guy. You know what I'm saying? I hate when I hate when
Yeah,
I see
yeah,
that.
I get it.
Yeah, so like I say that same thing about, with politics. I'm like, look, we should not have to drag you to be on our side. Just take a step back, remove your bias, and just look at what we have here. And that's why it's so crazy now with MAGA infighting and seeing them like, what? Well, I can't believe Donald Trump's lying. I'm like, what? We've been telling y'all. Like, what do you mean?
Listen, sidebar. This is why I'll never get Botox. All I've been doing is making faces because you've been preaching, and I'm like, I ain't even gotta say nothing. Yep,
I
that's
get
right.
passionate about this.
But no, but that's the reality, and I'm with you. I'm an ageist. I'm not gonna hold you. People like, oh, you wrong. No, 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 absolutely, because that is the key thing that I think about. I think that the president, like, you should not be over the age of really 55 and allowed to be president, because our views, you might know something, you could come and consult, But as far as you taking office,
Hmm.
no. But then there's also people really taking a moment and taking a step back how everything even operates.
Hmm.
Because like when you have like the other branches of government, like you said, I believe in terms. You should not be able to serve a life term being a senator or being a
Hmm.
congressman or congresswoman because your views are outdated.
Yeah.
You can consult the next person, usher the next wave in, but
Hmm.
it's a lot of learning. But that this country is so gung ho on keeping white supremacy and patriarchal, outdated white supremacy and patriarchal views in place. This is how we got here. So
Yeah.
for me, part of it is watching eating my popcorn and watching it crumble,
Yeah.
because all dynasties at some point, I think we're at the end of what this looks like. But when we think of the electoral college and how we vote as a whole, outdated. We need to update our system. Like you'll talk to somebody and they'll say, "Well, I voted for the president." I'm like, "Yeah, but you were the popular vote. Do you even know what happens after that? Like the whole thing as a whole, how this even got into play?" And they don't know. And I'm like, "Yeah, your vote, counted toward. We like him. We like
Hmm.
her. That's it."
You know, the one thing though too that I said, the unfortunate reaction to this is that I do appreciate how many more people are focusing on local elections,
Yes,
because that is that
absolutely.
is that is what's really impacting, you know what I'm saying, a lot of things. And I often say, admittedly for me, I didn't start really focusing on politics and everything until Barack Obama got into presidency, because I was wondering, I was like, wait, how come we can't get nothing done? And I'm a
Yep.
researcher, so at that point I'm like, okay, let me see what's going on. And I started researching more independently, learning things, and you realize the importance of local elections. And I'm like, damn, I haven't been doing my part. And so, after that, for his first term, that's when my mindset changed. So that's why I
Yep.
don't ever knock people who don't understand or know politics, but I often tell them, hey, now is definitely the time that you really want to start just learning more about it,
Yep.
just looking into it and learn, because those local elections are really the things that swing elections and everything like that,
Yep. Absolutely.
unless they do something very unprecedented, or something shady on the backside. So it's
Yep.
like, it's one of those things that I'm like, all right, with this, I've been seeing more people that look like us, sound like us, more people that you wouldn't expect. The hood is a hood niggas talking about politics, but in a very elegant way of like really understanding what is going on. And I'm like, we just need that. We need to continue to educate. Education is always the biggest weapon for any culture, anybody. So we can,
Absolutely.
yeah, so we can keep on arming ourselves and educating ourselves with just things that we know, knowing of the laws, knowing of the politics, knowing how our local government, how our alderman works, how just things, how our comptroller works, where our money goes. We can get there. Like I said, it's a long road, but like right now, a lot of black people are like, look, we tried to tell y'all, y'all didn't listen, y'all told us we was wrong, y'all yelled at us, y'all. So now we just watching. I'm sorry, we
And it
watching
is,
because
and, and it's the expectation that we're supposed to come in and fix it. And we're tired of that
mm-hmm.
mentality. Like we deserve, like I said, we deserve a rest.
Yeah.
And so even in this period of being unemployed but not but that's one thing that I had to really focus on, is that reset, because we're so conditioned and caught up in the rat race
Mm-hmm.
of working to the till you die and all these different things. I'm like, my body is talking to me. There's all these things happening to
Right.
my body, and I deserve rest. My brain is allowed to take a moment to just decompress before I put my get back out there in the world of the workforce. But like you said, everything impacts us. So look at this. Like literally yesterday, having someone, a friend hit me up and say, I got laid off, who had been at their job for 10 plus years. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And then me saying, oh, make sure you negotiate your severance, to find out she's like a part of a union and that she likely won't get severance. And I said, you're kidding me. Like these are things, like there's all these things like that are in place, and though
Mm-hmm.
unions are good things, but I'm just, I'm like, how is that possible that they won't even give you a payout probably? But we need to go back and do the work
Mm-hmm.
and fix a lot of stuff. But we live in this society where, like at this point, the middle class really doesn't exist. Everybody is we fighting for pennies.
Really.
And then you got wealthy people like how is Jeff Bezos like able to have like a $25 million wedding and it doesn't even hurt his net worth? Like he divorced his wife, had to give her half, and it doesn't do anything. It's like,
Yeah. You
like
know, I say it's alarming how many people that if you miss one check, it puts you in so many shambles. Like we
yeah,
literally, a lot of people literally live check to check where you can't miss a check.
you
One
cannot.
check would throw everything off and put you in so much debt, put you in so much shambles. And it's like, we got to get better. We got to figure this out.
But I think the thing that people are doing, which is really it's crazy because when we talk about the whole movement with DEI or how they say, oh, this is racist, if it's only geared toward black women or black men or some sort of minority, but that has allowed us to somewhat uh, get ahead. Because I'm not gonna say catch up, but to get ahead of where we were, and then they alleviate all this stuff when we talk about redlining and all these different things that have happened, Jim Crow, that have kept us down in a space. And when black people in particular figure out a system that allows them to flourish and thrive, y'all
Mm-hmm.
come in and burn it down. Y'all tear it up. Because a lot of people are just learning about the Tulsa massacre,
Yeah.
but it ain't just Tulsa.
No, it's not.
It's
This
so many places. East St. Louis is one of them. East St. Louis ain't never recovered. East St. Louis looked like that massacre happened yesterday.
dang.
That's how crazy it is.
Yeah.
And it was such a very rich and affluent but black community that was there, and they came through and did that same shit.
Yeah. And listen here, not to bring it back to centers, but you see, they built the juke joint, and look, they came and tore it down. White vampires.
Okay, so sidebar. I feel like we don't be talking about Grace enough, but I understand that we needed a super climax in that movie. But one day we're gonna talk about Grace and her saying, that it was her. That was on her because
It
everybody
was,
else they was cool was waiting out. Hey man, they
and
gonna
and she didn't have a plan when she threw that bottle. I said, "Why you throw it at the feet? You should throw it at the feet." She just threw it, missed. I said, "Oh my god,
no plan, no plan. And you was about to go out there and get turned.
go get turned."
I'm like, I understand you have a child. Were they really gonna go? Like, ask yourself. But then you think about everything, like even in that, how the Native Americans tried to warn them.
They tried to. Nobody ever
That has
listened to
been
the
an age,
warning.
yes, age old thing. And he said, well, shoot, we got to get out of here.
He said, "No, you
Y'all be
got
safe.
it.
It's
Y'all
getting
got
dark out.
it."
Such a great film. The people that's hating on it are missing all the messages.
Oh, this so good. I watched it 3 times. So
Me too. Me too. I went three
yeah,
times.
yeah.
But I just, okay, we're gonna segue back because we need deep into politics and now we upset.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, that's cool. But I'm okay with that because I always tell my mom, she asks different stuff, and I say, I'll have an outline. And somebody will say something, and it'll take us all the way off the idea, the outline,
hmm
everything. And I'll be okay with that because that's the whole point, is to really dig into people, to really allow people this space to express themselves. So that's
hmm
just really funny. But I mean, listen, look, I want to hold you for too much longer. But in this next year, as far as like you, Geek Set, give me an idea of where you guys would like to go and like to grow this your platform.
Yeah, so this is great timing to ask this because we're actually working on some things behind the scenes that if it goes well, well, we're gonna have a home for this documentary that we've been working on, right?
Okay.
And so we're like I said, for those who don't, who there's this, this is their first introduction to me. We're working on a documentary called the Black Geek Documentary. It's our love letter to the Blerd culture. So we spent 2.5 years going to a convention, just filming the Black experience, filming being a Black nerd and everything like that, talking to people of the culture because our idea for this documentary is that the culture should have the biggest voice. So we're talking.
Hmm.
So we're talking about the birth of the culture, the emergence of the culture, what it means to be a Blerd, things that we love about it, things that we see. But we also wanted to make sure that our documentary wasn't just all fluff. So we also address the things that we would like to either grow away from, that we need to fix, the things that what I'm saying, that we would like to see, the different type of inclusions, the more importance. And so that was that was like our B-roll footage. That was the that part. So now the second part that we're doing is called our hero interviews, where we interview all of our big celebrities and everything like that. And so we we tried to do a crowd sourcing. So we did a Kickstarter. Kickstarter didn't go so well, you know what I'm saying? So we failed that Kickstarter, and I ain't gonna hold you. I was in like a 3 month like downer because
Oh,
for
okay.
me, it's I try not I go out my way to not be a bother. Like that's kind of, it's and I don't know why it's
Yeah.
just something in my head. Like even with like even when it came down to like my emotions and everything, and I'm getting more better at it, but it's like I was a person that I would always keep everything to myself and then figure it out myself. I didn't really talk
Yeah.
to anybody. I didn't really and everything like that. And I realized it's an unhealthy way to think, but that was always how I've been. So even when it came down to the documentary, I'm like, all right, I'm trying to figure out ways to fund it myself and everything like that. And the team wanted to do the Kickstarter, and I was like, I was already like, I don't know, but I was like, you know what? The way we operate the team is, we put it on a vote. And if I get outvoted or when anybody gets outvoted, we get outvoted, right? So we did it. We put on the campaign, and I was like, all right, well, let's do it the right way. So we reached out to all of our celebrity homies, had them do like drops, like, yo, I want to see the Black Geek documentary. We started doing like all this campaign. We announced it in Forbes. We started doing like everything, right? And so I felt like we did everything right for a successful Kickstarter campaign, but it didn't happen. So it would, so I got down because I was like, I'm not for sure what we did wrong, right? And I
Yeah.
don't know what the next step is. So after a while, finally got out of that slump, and then we was like, all right, you know what? We're just gonna let's continue to build our name and let's build this ourselves. And in the midst of doing that, companies started paying attention,
Hmm.
and so now we have companies and entities reaching out to us, what I'm saying, like, and we're trying to figure it out. So it's like the goal is hope, not hopefully the goal and the track that we're on is having a home for this documentary, finishing out our hero interviews, and getting that ready for post production and actually putting that out in the world. So that's that. And then also we have a show that we are that's actually in post production right now. We independently did it, but within those same conversations, saying that show now is set up to a point where somebody can potentially pick it up and put it on there. So that's the two big things that we're working on, is the home for the documentary and a place for this show that we're working on that's going to really give people a more insight to Geek Set and all of our individual personalities and our comedic side.
I have a question. So, as far as blurred culture goes, because what I really think about now is like the history of, even as we see it in like pop culture and media spaces where we see certain movies and it's like this black nerd, or
Yeah.
we, as we call them, blurred. And is it that the nerd was always that guy and he just found his home?
So
Or
this
because
is
like really think about it, because I'm
mhm.
like, because I'm just thinking about everything that we, I experienced, and I was just like, hey, like they found their community. Like this is so freaking dope.
Yep. So it is exactly that. So
Yeah.
I one of the quotes that I often say is that, if do you remember in the first Black Panther, right? after the end and everything like that, and then T'Challa goes back to Los Angeles and he's building his community center, and then that little boy who actually happens to be the little boy from the Shy, but he comes in and he says, "Who are you?" And then that look on his face, I say that's what being a Blerd is, because
That's a
we
really
all
good.
yeah, because we're always all everybody was black nerds, right? You know what I'm saying, that identify as a nerd, because you whether you liked Power Rangers, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Transformers, comic book superheroes, whatever the case, you was a gamer. Some people are love, like, what I'm saying, tech and everything like that. You are a nerd, right? But if you looked at what Hollywood portrayed specifically as the black nerd, it was always a Steve Urkel type of character. It was
Yeah,
always somebody
absolutely.
that was the butt of the joke, that was awkward, you know what I'm saying, and everything like that. But in reality, it was like, it's a lot of cool niggas. It's like it's a lot of niggas like us, you know what I'm saying? So it's
Yeah,
like we
absolutely.
never got that portrayal. And so that's kind of what we wanted to kind of be able to kind of show the world, like, look, a nerd, for one, is not even what you think. Because to me, a nerd is somebody that can just go in depth about a specific topic. I always say, I may say Kobe's my favorite basketball player, but there's going to be somebody that's going to be able to tell you statistically why Kobe's not the best, or why Jordan is the best, or why Kobe is the best. And they're going to go, and I'm like, they're going to be able to quote stats and games and specific moments. And I'm like, that's some very nerdy shit. You are a sports nerd. So for us, a nerd is just somebody who can go in about a specific topic. Because I've had conversations about things with people that I don't even know nothing about, but they're going well in depth about it. And I'm like, oh man, you really nerd out about this stuff. And it's like, yeah. So a nerd is not what the media has portrayed and what TV has shown us and movies have shown us. And that's what the story that we want to tell, specifically about the black nerd.
I think this is such a dope idea. Like, not even idea, just because it's real. It's
Mm-hmm.
not an idea. Y'all put
Right.
pen to paper and went in and figured out how to, get this done. And I think that's a really dope uh way to end the podcast, because you did not give up. You did not allow that slump to
Mm.
take control of your life. And that's really hard when we talk about, going back to what we talked about earlier in our mental health, and, more so particularly with men trying to navigate that space. And you was like, okay, I gave you that room to feel.
Mm-hmm.
I allowed my mind to race, and I know we did everything right. But always we have to remember too, is like, there's our plan and there's God's plan.
Yeah.
And I ain't giving that credit to Drake. I'm not giving, because everybody's like, Drake, no,
Nah.
no. But that's what we,
Mm-hmm.
that's, whether you are, religious or not, but that's always how it is. It's like, always tell God your plan and he'll laugh,
Yeah.
because you guys, you know were able to continue to move forward, and somebody was watching you. And
Yeah.
that's the other thing, like you said, you never know who's watching you and who is seeing your journey and being able to kind of help push that forward. So I mean, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. I
you
appreciate that.
know
Yeah.
yeah,
I
are you
received
guys
that.
gonna, yeah, receive it. And and don't forget, it's one thing to have someone, like, you'll have a place where, they'll be able to stream it and project it to the world, but don't forget about your festivals too.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of black festivals too that have popped up, that are looking for talent and,
Mm-hmm.
documentaries for people to tell their stories, our stories.
Yeah.
So, and it is like you said, like, it's always, we, spoke about that earlier, how the media has it and then what the reality is,
You're right.
because the majority of us have sense. It's a small pocket that y'all get to see. Hell,
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm definitely excited for this journey and the things that are coming. And yeah, I give it all to God as well too, because and I'll leave on this in regards to even just my path and everything that where I'm at today. Because when the pandemic hit, that was a big pivotal moment, because at that time we was just the podcast, right? And when the pandemic hit, we had a meeting, and I said, "Look, I don't want us to lose steam." We was doing conventions, but I was like, we was just podcasts. I was like, I don't want us to lose steam, and I was like, let's find some things that we can do. So all of us came up with different ideas to put into place and everything like that. And my contribution, because I'm such a fan of like a lot of these content creators, such as yourself, I was like, I want to interview people. Let me just start
Yeah.
interviewing people, right? And so that's what started and kicked off 101 with Deuces. And at that moment, I also still doing my music. So like music is my love. That was my first love. That was I always thought I was going to be this big mega, saying rap star and everything like that. So it was a pivot because I was like, okay, we're doing really good with this podcast. So at some point during the pandemic, I said, you know what? And I literally prayed about this. I said, God, whatever way that you point me, I am just going to do it. I
Yep.
said, you know what? I'm not
Absolutely.
going to try to say this is my plan to dictate it. Wherever you're going to point me, I'm doing it. So as I was doing the interviews, it started getting easier and easier. I started getting more yeses and everything like that. And after I interviewed Deborah Wilson, who's a prominent voice actor, legend in this game, because I'm a researcher, I was seeing her do her process of voice acting, and I was seeing background footage, behind the scenes footage and everything like that of her process. And I noticed, I said, man, at my studio, I got all this stuff. So I was like, let me try my shot at voice acting, right? And I was like, but you know what? I'm gonna do the work. So I was doing student projects, indie projects, people paying me $10 for my voice. People just like, hey, I can't pay you, but I can give you this credit. And within a year, I was able to get an agent for voice acting and started doing more serious things and commercials and everything like that. And I was just like, this whole process for me literally was, all right, God, where you leading me, God? And so it was like, all right, do voice acting. All right, do that. All right, hey, this idea for this documentary, you've been playing around with it. This can be put into place like this. And even with my director, which is a hometown homie, because I'm a person that I like to pay people their worth.
Yeah.
But I still like to spitball ideas, and I'm just like, so I hit him up, and I was like, look, I got this idea for this documentary. I said, I want to do this documentary. I said, we're going to raise the funds so we can pay you real quick and everything like that. And he was like, bro, we'll figure it out. He was like, send me the footage. I'm gonna put together a teaser trailer because we was gonna be at DreamCon. He was like, I put together this teaser trailer and y'all can premiere it at DreamCon. Premiered it at DreamCon 2022, and coincidentally, Carl Jones was in the crowd. So we doing like after we premiered the trailer, we're talking to the crowd, and they're like, "Yo, who all is going to be involved with it?" So I'm naming some of the people, and then out of nowhere in the back, because the people didn't see Carl Jones walk in, you hear Carl Jones, and I'm involved in it, and the hype of people like, "Oh shit, Carl Jones is here," and he just publicly said that he's involved with the Black Geek documentary. It created that hype, and again, this is all me just saying like, I feel like God is just gearing us towards it. So
Yeah.
even with like I said with the Kickstarter, that was one thing that we tried and everything like that. And yeah, I went through that slump. But again, I do always feel like even when I was feeling down about it and I'm like, I don't know where else to go, that was God was like, hey, no, pick yourself back up
Yep.
and keep on going because there is a plan for it. So, I would like never lose that faith in God's plan. Like I said, God is going to like I said, they say God works in mysterious ways. It may not go the way that you thought, but it's going to go the way
Absolutely.
that you need. And that's
Yeah.
what it is.
That's real. And I think that's one of the things that's been keeping me out of losing my mind like these past couple months. And I was like, oh, this is what I'm gonna do in the meantime, because we have to have a consistent source of like income because bills. But I
Mm-hmm.
was like, oh, if I do this, this will allow me to be flexible. Um and I can still be able to, take on other projects, but it's not like I am locked down to this corporate gig where it's like these crazy deadlines for things that I could
Mm-hmm.
give two shits about. So it's all up, like you said, it's about that pivot and being able to push forward. Because I told people, I was like, I've just been rusted in gratitude. My creativity has been flowing.
Yeah.
And now it's just mapping out my time, using my time wisely. I haven't been good at it, but now I'm like, okay, let me get my schedule in place so I can know that I need to spend this amount of time on this and this amount of time on that, and then move forward. Because that's all you can do, is that we have to keep pushing forward. And I was telling Hippie, I said, I have planted seeds, like you talk about ideas. I said, but I never went back and watered it for it to grow. And now I have that time to
Yeah.
really tend to my garden, and I never want to lose sight of that ever again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So thank you so much
No,
for
thank you.
spending a little bit of your day with us here on the Whiskey Sour Podcast, Young Deuces. Tell everybody where they can find you and subscribe to you and your
Mm-hmm.
network.
Well, you can find me young underscore deuces everywhere. I keep it consistent. Even if it's a new social media and even if I'm not going to be on it, I go and grab that username so I can keep it consistent with the young underscore
Absolutely.
deuces. Um, I recently have been I'm moving all of my interviews over to my actual Young Deuces page on YouTube. So same thing, and I'm in the same boat as you. I'm trying to monetize this YouTube channel and everything like that. Boy, that is a long journey. So listen, if I can get a couple of y'all to come over there, man, you like I said, youtube.com/young_deuces. I have all my interviews up. I have some story times up. I started doing that, telling the
Yep.
time that I got the rock to listen to my album, how I was almost signed to Roy Jones Jr. Bodyhead Entertainment. Just different stories that are in there. So come over there. And also you can check some of my music out over there. If you're interested. And then also if you're on WatchMojo, I am the first black narrator over there at WatchMojo. So you hear my voice. I'm the energetic one. I tell this joke all the time, but it's true because WatchMojo is a Canada based company. And so a lot of them, they have that, public speaking, very, welcome to Watch Mojo. But I come in with all my energy to welcome to Watch Mojo. And you know what I'm saying? So it's like I'm that one over there. So yeah, if you hear my voice, man, throw some eagles in the chat. That is my call sign. Thanks to the More Mob. They the one that appointed that to me. The eagle emoji. So yeah, throw the eagles in the chat. Let me know you're over there, man. Let me know you came from Whiskey Sour, man. I would love to see y'all over there.
Yes. Thank you so much. And we will see you guys back here next week.
Hey.